The Town stars Ben Affleck, Rebecca Hall, and Jeremy Renner. And to put this movie simply, this is one of the most epic, exciting, and one of the most just adrenaline inducing heist movies of all time. While watching this movie, I realized how many just adrenaline just inducing, how many intense, how many blood rushing moments there really are in this movie. And the amount of great scenes that are put in this movie, from the very opening action scene where Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner's all team of heist villains are all robbing their first, well, they're technically their second bank in terms of story, but the first bank shown in the movie, technically the only bank they rob in the movie. The intensity of that scene, and when they capture Rebecca's Hall character, and right away you get to know that Ben Affleck is the only really nice guy in this whole group, as everyone else is just like, let's kill this girl, let's get rid of this girl. And Ben Affleck's the only one that's reassuring her that everything is going to be okay, when in reality, she's going to go in psychosis, go crazy, fall in love with Ben Affleck, then realize that Ben Affleck is a bad person. But life sucks sometimes. Honestly, my favorite role in this entire movie was Jeremy Renner's character. He was sort of the asshole, badass Boston guy. And this is, in my opinion, my favorite Jeremy Renner performance of all time. He gives such, like... First of all, his Boston accent is just too par. I mean, Ben Affleck's Boston accent is pretty decent, but sometimes it feels a little forced. He truly feels like a Boston guy. And just... You feel for this guy a little bit, because he's kind of telling you about his childhood and about his life and how kind of messed up it was, and how he really had no one else besides Ben Affleck's character. So, and that makes one portion of this movie very, very sad and very emotional. And what I'm talking about is the specific scene with Jeremy Renner and Ben Affleck. When Ben Affleck is confronting Jeremy about something, and Jeremy just goes crazy, and then they start fighting, and Jeremy wins, and they're both on the ground sitting down after just having a fight, and Jeremy just tells him basically, like, you are my only brother. And hearing him say that he wants to do something, it makes him go crazy. Also, Ben Affleck is just completely excellent in this movie, as he's sort of the opposite of Jeremy Renner in a way, and he's also sort of the same. So he's opposite, because Jeremy Renner, like I said, he's the badass asshole, wants to get the job done, will kill anyone in seconds, just like Han Solo. And then Ben Affleck is this guy, he's never killed anyone. He originally was going to be a great hockey player. He didn't make it there. His dad went to prison because of his dad was kind of a heist lord himself. And he was kind of forced into this business, not by choice, but more by sheer force. Like, he had no father. He was taken into Jeremy Renner's family, and they're all running under this one heist lord, this one old guy, and he's not in the movie a lot, but he steals the show when he's in it, and he's sort of like the mob boss who runs this whole show. If you mess up, it's going back to him, and he's going to send someone to kill you. And Ben Affleck's just trying to get out of it. He obviously falls in love eventually with Rebecca Hall's character, which is kind of obvious in the first scene of the movie. And when you see the cover, you kind of expect him to either fall in love with Rebecca Hall. The third main starring role in this movie was Rebecca Hall, and she gives an excellent performance of kind of this girl who, she goes through a very traumatic event, finds love, finds all the shitty parts of love, and how falling in love with a bad person, how much it can affect you. And the things she does to Ben Affleck's character, especially at the ending of the movie, oh my god, I almost cried when I saw the very last paragraph, and when Ben Affleck basically gives up all the years of robbing and all the years of doing all this messed up stuff, and basically all the years of being a criminal, he gives it all up, gives everything away to Rebecca Hall's character for basically no reason besides being in love with her for 1 month and feeling sorry that he put her through that. I do have a couple little minor flaws with the film, mainly in how this movie is shot. So this movie has a ton of cuts. There's only really, I counted maybe 2 shots where it actually lingers the camera. Most of this movie is, it's like 2 to 3 seconds, and it cuts to another part, and it cuts to another part. And if you suffer from like vertigo or suffer from like dizziness or something, This movie is gonna make you want to throw up because how many times it cuts and jumps and jumps. And me as an action I personally prefer when it's a little longer cuts, longer takes, and I just prefer when they don't use the editing team's skills to make the movie better. And also the directing of Ben Affleck, which, don't get me wrong, the scenes still look really good and they still hold up and are really intense. There's not much acting that needs to be involved when it's just cutting over and over again. They only are acting for 2 seconds. They get to go take a lunch break, come back, and then do the next little 2 second scene. That just kind of bothers me. I just kind of wish they let it flow. There is one scene where Ben Affleck is talking to Rebecca Hall and telling him about his sorry past, and this is by far the best acting in this whole movie. Ben Affleck you completely feel for the guy, and it lingers for like 15 to 20 seconds, and Ben, in the whole time of acting, he has to talk, and he has to look sorry, and he has to look sad. I also found a small little audio dub part in the movie where Ben Affleck and Rebecca Hall are talking. You can kind of see when Ben Affleck is talking, his character's like, and he's like, blah, 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 and he's talking really fast, and it's not really obvious. I really had to pay attention. If I wasn't writing notes down for this review, I never would have saw it. And overall, this is just one of the best heist films of all time. And personally, it's my favorite heist film of all time. And heist films are some of my favorite genres of movie. Movies like Ocean's 11 and Heat. I die when I watch those movies. And this movie brings the intensity of those movies to a whole nother level. This movie is just so riveting. It's so intense. My blood was rushing the entire time. Before I give you my final Marco's Movies thoughts on this movie, I just briefly want to touch on the third act. My heart was absolutely pounding, and the adrenaline in my body, my sister probably pinched me like 3 times. I didn't even feel it because I was paying so much attention to this film. And the third act is just so riveting, and it's just so intense, and you're just like, and specifically what Jeremy Renner does at the very end of this movie. He kind of makes this last heist as a do or die situation. Either they complete this or they're just done. And the scene where Jeremy Renner does his final little scene in this film, it's so sad and it's so heartbreaking. And when Ben Affleck just sees him, God, it's so sad. And this movie is it's on so many different emotions. It's like a happy rom-com, it's a drama, it's a heist film, it's a bromance. It's all these different films packed into one. It shouldn't taste good, but it blends up and it turns out to be like the best shake you've ever had. This movie was it was so much fun. It was so thrilling to watch, and I absolutely loved this movie. I'm going to give Ben Affleck's The Town an A-. Like I said, if it wasn't for how many times they kind of didn't shoot one-shot takes and how many times they had to cut clips and how little acting these guys had to do, and if it wasn't for a couple audio dub moments, and also a quick little thing, Rebecca Hall in one scene can't even get a tear out of her eye. That was one of the biggest flaws in this movie I think I've seen. It's like this girl, whole world just collapsed below her feet, literally, and she can't even get a tear out, but she's trying to so hard. And that bothered me a little bit. But overall, The Town is definitely my favorite heist film of all time. I highly, highly recommend it. I absolutely love this movie. And as always, keep watching movies.